Thank you for tuning in to today's collective reading. This is Trinity Gaia Consciousness. I do want to let each and every one of you know that I am very grateful that you tune in for today's reading and that I hope that you find validation of your own intuition throughout this reading. I also do want to let you know that I had set everything up, everything was good, tested it, and then recorded it, only to find at the end that there was no audio recorded. All I got was 30 minutes of no sound. So I will do what I can to go through everything and trust that Spirit will guide me through. And I will reference what cards I do recall and present their message to you in the best way I possibly can, as it was a beautiful message. And it was very apparent that this reading was needed by the collective, as there seems to be somewhat of a crossroads that has been kind of looming over the horizon. It's becoming somewhat critical for some individuals in the collective. And there's been a miscommunication, a lack thereof, or possibly a sense of being triggered, which has caused this polarity of thinking in only black or white, yes or no, right or left, and not really opening to compromise, to understand the other's side, to understand what they're confused about, that you could answer if you only were willing to hear what they're confused about without being in a state of already preparing your response because you feel attacked, or you feel like you're on the defense, or you already know the answer, but to truly listen to them. No two individuals are exactly alike. You can have twins that are genetically identical, but their personalities are totally different, even if they're in the same environment, as well as having, the same nurture versus nature. They're still very different individuals. So, that being kind of highlighted, it could feel very easy to feel stuck. Like you can't do anything without it being the wrong thing. And you don't want to give up on what your dreams are. You don't want to give up on what you intuitively know to be the right direction. But it's all about timing too. So you're waiting, or someone else is waiting on some signal from you that it's the right time. I think that this is something that's needing to be reciprocated. It's not just one way. So, from one perspective, which we're going to start with more of the assertive aspect, the 3D, the more the masculine archetype. Now, I'm going to reference the men that I have had the chance to know really well in my life, and they felt very focused on providing a safe environment, that they would worry about things that it wouldn't even occur to me, but weighed on them all the time. And it helped me understand them and appreciate them more, because they worried about those things. I got to not have to. So I was very grateful. In particular, I'm speaking to my dad here. So he would worry about like the house and whether or not we'd be warm, if we'd have enough fuel, the physical providing for the space for the nurturing of the family to occur within, where he could be with us because that stuff was taken care of. So, some of you in the collective are very muchly at somewhat of a point where you have a masculine energy that is wanting to do a new beginning. They want it so bad. But they don't want the new beginning to be one that is stressful for both of you and just kind of leaves a bad taste in both of your mouths, because you both will come to this with a history. You both will come to this with triggers from other bad experiences of being either taken advantage of or feeling like a burden yourself, feeling like you're taking advantage of them. And seeing that play out at the beginning of a relationship, especially if it's something where you have to move. If you're going to give it a chance, you have to move your life to give it a go. It's not you live conveniently close by and you can kind of work into it slowly. It's a, are you in this boat with me or are you not? Are we going to find this answer or not? And depending on where you are in your life, um, children, they definitely came through in the reading. There was a sun card and the world card that came out for, what they want. If they get to choose the path that they're the most excited about because they get the signal from you, the world and happiness is what is on the path. That's what they see when they choose co-creating with you. A partnership, a relationship is a co-creation. You could almost look at it too like a business agreement to an extent, because you're deciding to pool all that you are together. So you have a lot of strengths and they do too, but you both have weaknesses, and the beautiful thing is that you complement one another. So where they're strong, you're weak. They can take that and run, and where you're weak, they're strong, and they can take those things because they're going to be really good at it, and it'll better the experience for yourself as well as those that rely upon you. In the sun, the imagery on that card, there was basically a father figure interacting with a child and wanting to give them this bright new future, a better childhood than what they had, a better chance at happiness, at having the things that they wish they had had. That's the basic form of evolution, is to want your children to have a better life than you had, to give them the opportunities that you didn't. And they see that with co-creating with you. So, that being said, at the beginning of a relationship where you'd basically be jumping from one environment completely into another, and there would be children involved whom they are very protective of, or you yourself are very protective of, that you would be bringing into the situation, it's a profound leap of faith. And they want to take that. But they don't want to take that where they know it's going to be stressful for both of you, because you won't necessarily, if you find or do not express that you're independent enough to not become a financial burden on an already strained budget that they're already working with, then there will be negative feelings that will occur, and they don't want that for the two of you. And you don't want that for the two of you. So they're waiting for that signal to know that it's time, because your new beginning then is protected from feelings of being used or taken advantage of, or taking advantage of someone, or being a burden to another. Nobody wants to start a relationship feeding those feelings. It's not a good start. So they're waiting for that because they really want that bright new future with you, because they know that in that path of choosing you to co-create with, they're setting an example that will give their children wisdom, knowledge of themselves, that will give them the chance to have the next step in evolution, They feel the co-creating with you will provide a better childhood for their children because of who they are when they are with you in this path. And that will allow their children to take that torch and pass that to the next generation, and so on and so forth. For the feminine perspective coming into this, it's a bit more of a challenge of how to find the proper way to express and the right words to express what's coming through. So they are choosing you in this. They're not choosing someone else. They're choosing you for a reason. They feel this with you for a reason. Their higher self, their guardians, their guides, more than likely they signed soul contracts with you before they even incarnated. They chose you for a reason. And to trust that you chose them for a reason, that there is going to be obstacles, but they're completely overcomable. What could present as a 10 of swords is actually a 5 of wands in tarot talk, in tarot terms. Like, it can seem like the ending if you choose to focus anywhere but at the light in it. If you choose to focus on the light in it, it's a new beginning, and it becomes something that is overcomable. But if you choose to be lost in the darkness of it, the light will go out and it will be the end of it. So there is a reason that you chose each other before you even came here. So you both have been finding your way to being balanced and centered within self. You have been learning and honing your discernment that came through with the Page of Wands. And they have been waiting for you and helping you to learn this from their higher self aspect. And they were sitting in a King of Cups with that. And they are at a Two of Swords. And those two images for them are very, very close to one another. They are just waiting on that signal from you. So, for the feminine aspect in this, if you have not already overcome whatever obstacle is keeping you from reaching for more abundance, to be able to come in such a way for the new beginning with them where you're a teammate, a partner that is contributing and helping them carry the weight instead of asking them to carry more. They may already be at their wits' end and they need your help with that. So, what is holding you back from taking that step? And I can't help but continually get this. So, here goes. For some in the collective, and it may be a large majority tuning in, but for some of you, definitely, at some point in your life, you reached for more. Maybe you reached a couple of times, and every time, something took it from you. Something was unfair, something was unjust, and that new life, that new dream you built, and we're about to fully launch into full, like, glow up on, was snatched away from you. That energy that kept taking that from you is no longer capable. It is not strong enough. You have overpowered it. To put it simply, and I invite you, if you find yourself here, to do this. The only reason that that energy was able to do that is it was pretending to be you. Energetically, it claimed your energy and it chose to use your energy to limit you, as though you were limiting yourself then. Do you understand? So it spoke for you. Said, "No, I'm not going to have that new beginning." And then you didn't, because it was using your own energy as authority over your life. Now, call all of your energy back to you. If you have not done so, do so, and do so as often as you need to Get rid of any of that doubting negative energy that's coming in at you, because it has no power over you if it has none of your power. The only way it could have power over you is if you choose to consciously give it to it. And when you don't, instead you decide to take it back, it continually loses influence until it's not even a thing. And then your discernment is creating those boundaries between you and others that are not capable of being crossed, because you have been learning. You've been learning because you've been in this state. This definitely came in from your higher self. I had a confusion card come through. So you got to a point in the studies, if you will, of discernment, where you had completely trusted everything that was coming through, because why not? It's your higher self, it's your guardians, your guides, so on and so forth. So everything that could come through could only be good. So you would have the logical that would match with the emotional, be it intuition, be it dreams, be it telepathic communication, your time in nature, just meditating, just being at one. Those two were consistent. And there can be many different layers of this, but I'm going to go with those two for now. And then suddenly there would be a blip in this energy where logic and emotion didn't fit. There'd be a bit of a memory, a bit of a pocket of experience that would download, or you would recall suddenly, that didn't fit with the other energy. And you were stuck then in a state of, well, what's true then? Because I do remember this. This did happen. So what's true? So this has been something you've been going through. So every time you have a moment where it's a dark, negative, doubting, makes you feel bad about yourself, a really harsh inner critic, anything that wants you to give your focus to something that would leave you in a state of really despair and suffering, call back your energy from it. Call back your energy from it. And over time, you will have to do that less and less. And this energy, anything that's still going on after you've done this, especially like the first time, is so empowering when you do it. It's just residual. It's like these little things that were left behind. You're literally just sweeping the floor. You're getting rid of what it left behind. It holds no power over you unless you choose to give to it, which is if you get angry or upset or offended or any of that emotional energy, because you're feeding into the illusion. You're making it valid. And believe me, I know it's really tempting, because some of these things are very intense and designed to trigger these responses in you. Calling your energy back from these things, you'll find that you've set that boundary. You've set that, and you continue to set it. You have gotten to a point where you are so focused and so confident in what is true that when you cut that line, there's no doubt, there's no hesitation, there's no wonder. It is. Period. It is. The boundary is there. So if you are going through this process now, you're beginning it as like of now, or you have already been here. Know that in taking that step to build a new dream, to build that new life, to challenge yourself, to push yourself, it's not going to be taken from you, because you choose to not let it be. You choose to manifest this future, to manifest this co-creation. And the only one that can take it from you is you, by giving power to anything that tells you you don't get to have it. In this new beginning, I am specifically speaking to your personal creation that would be bringing in abundance. And if it's abundance of karma, if you're doing service to help others, if you're assisting others, but not expecting anything in response in currency in the 3D, you're getting something karmically for that. The divine does not turn their back on individuals who bring about balance, who are channels through which balance can be maintained or brought about. The divine is going to reciprocate love with love. So even if at first, which you'll hear a lot of creators in the beginning, no matter what you're doing, a lot of creators, well, they're honing their craft and they're figuring out what they're doing and the best process to make X, Y, or Z, the best way to present things. They begin by offering it for free until they find that over time, things just naturally begin to shift and the karma comes back. You gain more assistance, more help in the energetic realms. From your ancestors, the guardians, the guides, the downloads that you would get, the help. Don't hold back, because it'd be you holding you back this time. It'd be you saying, I give up on me. And I don't know about you, but what would the point be of surviving everything that you have just to give up on yourself? Right? Right? Like there's that inner fire in you that just got sparked at that. And you know what? It should. It should. Because I'm hearing, oh, hell no. Right now, that just came through. Oh, hell no. Yeah. Yeah. You're free. You're completely free. The only one holding you back right now is you. And the only one that would put a limit on it is you. Now, when it comes to co-creating with this partner, that's a totally different thing. You want their input. You need their input. You're not going to create it without them. You want that to be co-created. So, whatever step it is that you need to make sure the universe knows that you're receptive to this dream that you're building for you, it's your personal work. If you want to call it your light work, because it is a working of light, of love, of service to help others. Even if it doesn't necessarily outwardly, perceived that way, such as, art or building homes, restoring old homes. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're going to be a preacher or that you're going to be a missionary or, anything like that necessarily. That you're going to just volunteer all the time. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're going to do that. The homes that we live in and the art that we are exposed to, it speaks to the soul. And it's where we live and we grow. It's where life happens. And all of that has an impact and is part of this experience. And the divine is in everything. Love is in everything. And we can contribute to making that very obvious in the care that we take and what we do. So feed that dream, open to it becoming something more. Open to that. That signal in and of itself, that you're open, you're receptive to a glow up, you will find that whatever challenge may come, that there will be suddenly exactly what you need to meet that challenge. When it comes to push or shove, when it comes to it, a way will make itself available. So if you feel like you're putting the cart before the horse, maybe the horse is just kind of hanging out and you need to put that finishing touch on that cart and then it's ready to go. So that finishing touch is you opening to it. And then we can get the horse, all saddled and tackled and ready to go, and we can be on our way. It's that last piece you need to own, that you're willing to build that dream within you on your path. That may be the signal they're looking for. And this may not be something that they will immediately let you know about in the 3D. It may take a little bit. But I'll tell you this, you will feel a million times better simply from releasing the weight from your shoulders, knowing that you're the only one that can hold you back, and that ain't happening. Not this time. You're not letting it. You've called all your power back to you. No one can speak over you but you, consciously you. That kind of power is something that you're standing in. So that when you do go to co-create this beautiful future, where the next generation has a better chance of seeing the whole picture, and thus has a better chance of giving their children a better future, and so on and so forth. You're coming to that table not as a burden, not even as just, I'm just here and like there's really no change for you. You're coming to that table with strength, with nurturing, balanced within yourself, lifting some of that burden off of their shoulders so they're not doing it all alone. And they can be a little more in their receptive energy because they're not feeling like they're fighting the whole entire army by themselves. For example, as a metaphor, of course. They have you at their back. And you brought backup. That's the kind of a vibe to it. You brought backup with you. It wasn't just you. You brought some friends. So that is pretty much the energy that came through in that reading and those messages. And there's been some new things that came through with it. So I am confident that that happened for a reason and that this reading reached more, got more messages through, touched more hearts, and validated more intuitions. So know that whether you're on the predominantly assertive or predominantly receptive, or you're the feminine or the masculine, like whatever you prefer to identify as, you're not alone. That is the overarching message here. You're not alone. The obstacle that is right now is, are you receptive? And are you willing to give to this? Both sides. Once that signal is sent, that's the only challenge, is finding the middle. No longer being in such polar opposite, like yes, no, right, wrong, all in, not in at all thinking, but willing to find the middle, to see compromise, to understand that every situation is going to have different degrees of right and wrong to it, balance and imbalance, health and unhealthy. But the two of you together can find common ground and build from there. What do you agree on? What do you have in common? And from there, work your way out of being in such a trigger happy state. And it's such an oxymoron to say it like that. Nobody likes to be triggered. I don't know why it came through that way. That just sounded sarcastic, actually. It sounded sarcastic. Being in both of these states and having overcome them and looking to the other to assist in really grounding in the foundation, you may both be coming to this in states where you have been in fight or flight all day, every day, on some level, to some degree. And finding that common ground will help shut that off so you could be more at rest. You can have that peace in the middle of chaos more, because what you're building, especially if we're dealing, with a family that will be melding and like there's children, like there's going to be chaos. There's going to be, but it's beautiful chaos. And that perspective speaks to the peace that you are in the middle of the chaos. So what a beautiful reading. I am so grateful, so incredibly grateful to have read this message, to have channeled this for you guys today. The divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste.